Speak now to Axola Toto, SRC President at the University of the Free State. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us. What can you tell us about the latest around this situation and other complaints of racism? Because I believe you say there has been an increase in the number of complaints.
Good evening. Thank you for having me. I think before I can respond, I must highlight that I'm having audibility problems from your side. I can't hear you well.
Okay, I'll just repeat that. So the question I'm asking is there an update that you can provide us with around this incident?
Yes, there is an update that I can provide with regards to this incident. This evening, we've received a communication that the matter is known as the statement was released by the university. However, they further stated that there's a preliminary report that is there. However, we're not privy to it. We haven't seen it as of yet. But then we were told that again that the executive management decided when they convened, I think they say last night, yes, or yesterday, that this matter between the two parties should be will be referred to mediation. That is what they have resolved on, that it must be taken for mediation, basically between the two parties. Yeah, so that is the current update that we are having right now, that there's a preliminary report on the investigation of the case, and then the two parties will be taken for mediation.
So reports say... Yes, you can continue.
All right, which in the view of the SRC will raise another issue, because you must remember now it's public that in the past few weeks there's a lecturer by the name of Dr. Pedro Mzileni, who was investigated and is currently investigated by the South African Human Rights Commission as per the complaint of AfriForum Youth. What we know from the incident that occurred in the past few weeks is that Dr. Mzileni was giving a lecture where he ultimately, according to the reports, said that white people stole the land. And then he was indeed subjected, as per the statement he released, he was then subjected in a disciplinary hearing, which we are yet to hear the outcomes of it. So now it comes as though there's a double standard in dealing with such issues, because right now with this case, we are told that there should be a mediation, and then the white lecturer is not cited in there as a person who played an active role in this happening. So which again brings another issue, that there's a double standard. That is how it's going to be seen in the view of the SRC. That matters, all animals are equal, but the others are equal than the others, if I put it in a correct way.
Okay. So I want to talk about this, as you have been reported to have said that there is an increase in the number of allegations of racism at UFS. The university itself has a history of racist conduct. What is a more sustainable solution to your mind?
In my mind, I think the university must revisit the structure. Because if you get to look at the faculty that we are basically looking at this point in time, if you get to look at the structure, you see that the structure is very wide and needs to be revisited. And even though there's this university right now has got majority of black students, as opposite to the past. We still see that there's a lot of institutionalized racism that is here in it, that is institutionalized. You can get it in structures. You can, as I cited before, that in the nurse faculty, for an example, that is where you get, even when you look at the level of admission, you see that, okay, this faculty is very white, and then the structure, as students have called, that the structures must be revisited from top to bottom.
Axola, we also believe that there have been complaints that there are lecturers who still continue to lecture in Afrikaans at the university, even though we know that that was legally scrapped as a medium of instruction. Is the South African Human Rights Commission, for instance, going to look at that matter?
I do not know the standing of South African Human Rights Commission, as we've never wrote to them or formally spoken to them, or either spoken to them about these issues that are now raising. However, yes, students have come out in numbers to say that, yes, there are lecturers who actually give lectures in Afrikaans as opposed to English. And we all know that Afrikaans, a decision was made in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, by the Court of Law, that it should no longer be, or it must rather no longer be a medium of instruction in this university. Yes, indeed, there's such, and particularly students from the NAS faculty are complaining with that. If I remember very well, some of the students who came forth, they mentioned, is it zoology? Yes, zoology, that there's that behavior. And just yesterday during the afternoon, some students came and said, actually, there's another lecturer who said that they were going to offer African sessions in physical, and then online, then they are going to dish out English.
All right, and if you could just talk to us about the SRC itself, what it's doing to at least foster good relations between students across the board. But again, I go back to the issue of a sustainable solution. It can't be that a university is in the news year in, year out with the same complaints of racism.
The SRC currently, let me start by saying students have taken a memorandum of demands, which also demanded an immediate suspension in the NES faculty of the two people who are cited in the incident that has recently occurred, calling for a suspension. But the mood right now on the ground is that of it's volatile, because now even political formations are starting to voice out and are starting to actually mobilize the ground towards this incident. So the SRC is trying to facilitate and to become the middle person between the students and the university. So the solution right here, I think, is to revisit the structures of the universities and actually open dialogues where the senior management will be to listen to what the students has to say about how the university is ran. Because yes, indeed, year in, year out, there's always racist incident that must pitch up at the University of the Free State. So the solution right now is to be democratic, open the processes, allow student activism, so they can be able to engage. Because some of the fears here is that when you engage with student leaders, as a student leader myself, is that there's a lot of fear when it comes to victimization. There's a lot of fear. Recently, we had what we call Vision 130, which is the vision of the university, where students said that actually that vision seeks to take the university back to the hands of the apartheid regime, because the vision speaks on reducing the number of intake and actually targeting people who can pay for themselves. And the demographics of South Africa dictates that at least more than 80% of people who are black cannot afford fees. As we can see, that majority of South African students are funded by NSFAS, and a few students who are rich, that is the elites, can fund themselves. So basically, when you are saying that upon the crisis that you are faced with currently, you're basically taking it back to the hands of the white. And that those are the few things that were highlighted in the conversation that was held with the Vice Chancellor and the Executive Director of Student Affairs at the function just last week. And students explained that they are scared. They are scared of voicing out. They are scared of actually going out in full force and expressing the activism. Yeah.
Okay,
Because
we're
they
going
are
to leave
fear
it there
of
with you.
that victimization and militarization of the campus as well.
Thank you so much for your time, Axola Toto.